Welcome to Trader Chat number 6. The date is the 21st of September 2011 and my name is David Hickson. And before we get into the Trader Chat, I have to, as always, present you some disclaimers. So let's take a look at those. The first disclaimer is a risk disclaimer, and it states that all trading involves risk. You should be aware of this risk before trading and never trade with money you cannot afford to lose. Our second disclaimer has to do with the past performance of any trading methodology, and you should be aware it is no guarantee of future results. There is a representation disclaimer. I am not making any representation that any account will achieve profits or losses similar to those discussed in this presentation. Finally, the hypothetical disclaimer. All results should be considered to be hypothetical unless otherwise specified, and hypothetical performance results have many inherent limitations. Okay, you should please be aware of those limitations. Let's move on and chat for a moment about using Netviewer. Netviewer is the software that we use to broadcast the Trader Chats, and the best way of communicating with me is by typing a message into the chat window, which you'll find in the bottom right hand area of your Netviewer window. You can also talk to me, and we have been doing some further tests with the new version of Netviewer, and it's not too bad. I make a mention there of the audio delay. There is a little bit of an audio delay, but it's actually improved tremendously in the new version of Netviewer, so if you do want to talk to me, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Please make sure you have a headset, otherwise there will be some hal around. And also just type a chat message indicating you want to speak, because many people right-click accidentally. Finally, please be aware that whenever you click your mouse with either the left mouse button or the right mouse button, an arrow or a speech bubble appears on the window for everybody viewing the webinar, which can, of course, be distracting. Our 20% discount first-timer offer is running for only 2 more weeks. That's today's webinar and next week's webinar. So if you want to take advantage of the first-timer discount, then please do so. It gives you a 20% discount in the purchase price of Sentient Trader if you purchase within the next 24 hours. And you can claim your 20% discount by sending a private chat message to Paul Johnson. Select his name from the chat window, and he will issue you with a discount coupon valid for 24 hours. Now, there have been some changes to our plans for workshops. We have had an extremely positive response to doing online workshops. And so we are investigating the possibility of doing online workshops, and we have a plan in place. And we are going to be presenting some online workshops. There will be lower cost workshops, which is, of course, fantastic news for everybody. And you will obviously save on travel and accommodation. And we are planning 2 Saturday sessions in a row of 6 hours each. And there will, of course, be some breaks within those 6 hours. That's the current plan for workshops. We will let you know as soon as we have further details. We will be starting them fairly soon. So keep an eye on your emails about our upcoming online workshops. All right, so let's move on to the subject that we're talking about today. Today I'm going to talk about how to influence the analysis that Sentient Trader performs so that it matches your own analysis. Sentient Trader is very powerful software that will perform an analysis on any financial market price data, but you do not need to restrict yourself to the analysis that Sentient Trader performs. If you are an experienced Hurst cyclic analyst or any kind of cyclic analyst, or even if you're somebody learning cyclic analysis, then you can use Sentient Trader to actually test your own ideas and perform your own analysis within Sentient Trader. It really isn't very complicated, so that's what I'm going to be speaking about today. Now, let me see if I can, there we go, I think I end full screen and I end the display. There we go. That will went fairly smoothly. Right, so I was prompted to speak about this topic today because of a blog post that I made, the Sentient Trader Outlook, which I hope you're all taking a look at. It's an opportunity for me to air my views and Sentient Trader's views about what's happening in the markets. And on Saturday morning, I posted a blog about what's happening in the Euro-US dollar forex pair. And so when I used an expert model to generate an alternate analysis, and So I thought that would be a really interesting thing to talk about today, and I received several emails from people saying, how did you do that? How did you change the analysis? We've been using Sentient Trader perhaps, and how do we do that? How do we create our own analysis? So here is a chart of the euro to US dollar forex pair, and this is an analysis that has been performed, the default analysis has been performed by Sentient Trader. And you'll see Sentient Trader has positioned a 54-month cycle trough over here. Let me turn on my semicircles. Please remember, if you have any questions at any point about anything that I speak about, please pop those questions into the chat window and I will reply immediately. Don't be scared if you're a first timer or a newcomer to Hurst cyclic analysis. Perhaps a lot of what I'm going to say might be confusing to you. Don't feel foolish in asking any questions. I'm very happy to answer any questions that you might have. Sentient Trader, of course, performs an analysis on the data. Up at the top part of the chart is the price data, and at the bottom part of the chart is the presentation of the analysis, where Sentient Trader shows where it has decided that troughs of various cycles are positioned. And those cycles are very easily visualized by plotting your phasing analysis using semicircles, as I have done. And if you look at the path that is traced by that semicircle, it gives you an idea of what that particular cycle is doing. The longest cycle Sentient Trader assigned in the market is the 54-month cycle, the 4.5-year cycle, which it believes had a trough in November of 2005, and then another trough in June of 2010. And the next shorter cycle is the 18-month cycle, and of course there are 3 18-month cycles that fit within every 54-month cycle. The harmonic ratio is 3 to 1, 3 18-month cycles in every 1 54-month cycle. And you can see the 18-month cycles, they are color-coded yellow, and there they are. Because of the principle of synchronicity, which claims that cycles experience troughs simultaneously whenever they can, the most recent trough of the 18-month cycle occurred synchronously with the most recent trough of the 54-month cycle, which was, of course, in June of 2010. Let's zoom in and see what's happened since that time, and you'll see that Sentient Trader has placed a 40-week trough over here on, what's that date, the 11th of January 2011. I can read the date to the bottom of the screen, by the way, in the status bar. It tells me that's Tuesday, 11th of January. I can also display that information by double-clicking on the bar, and it gives me quite a lot of information in this little box over here, which you can move around by clicking in different places, or you can simply close it once you get tired of it. So it has positioned the 40-week trough over here in early January 2011, and then it has positioned a 20-week trough over here in on the 24th of May 2011, and it therefore believes that the market is heading down towards another 18-month trough. That's the longest trough in the next nest of lows. This collection of cycles that are expecting to trough soon is called a nest of lows, and that's a term that Hurst came up with, and you can see it visually on the chart. Let me remove the semicircles because they sometimes get a bit confusing there. You can see it visually on the chart by this inverted pyramid over here. And let me turn on my whiteboard, and right. I'm not seeming to be able to turn on the whiteboard. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so this inverted pyramid here indicates the forthcoming nest of lows, and the longest cycle, these sort of translucent grey boxes link the cycles that are expected to be synchronized at the next nest of lows. And you can see the longest cycle is this yellow cycle, which is, of course, the 18-month cycle. The exact date on which that cycle is expected is represented by this circle over here. And the line is the range of time in which it is expected. So you can see this nest of lows is staggered to the right, and I describe that as you imagine a steam train traveling across the bottom of your chart, and if that steam train is heading from right to left, as it is at the moment, then that indicates that Sentient Trader thinks that the cycles that are approaching the next nest of lows are coming in early. They're running short. One needs to be very careful of making trading decisions under that kind of situation. Sometimes you'll see a nest of lows which looks like a train heading in the other direction. I'll see if I can find one to demonstrate that to you. And that's the reverse situation. You can afford to be more aggressive with your trading decisions. Okay, so let me just clear that. And so that is the analysis that Sentient Trader has performed at the moment. So if we look in the short term, right down to the 40-day cycle, which is the cycle that we're trading for various reasons, I won't dwell on that now. We can have some further discussion about that later. But for various reasons, we are trading the 40-day cycle, and here are the projections for the 40-day cycle. You can see Sentient Trader is calling this trough over here on the 12th of September, the trough of the 40-day cycle, with price moving up into this kind of area over here. Let me not dwell too much on that because it's distracting from the main topic of the day, which is how do you influence the analysis. Now, why would we want to influence the analysis? Well, we're trading the 40-day cycle, but as I've just explained to you, Sentient Trader is saying that the next 40-day cycle is in fact synchronous with cycles all the way up to the 18-month cycle. What that means is that when the 40-day cycle is confirmed, and the 40-day cycle has most likely been confirmed for this date on the 12th of September, then it is also confirming that as a trough of the 18-month cycle. That's what the term synchronous means. It means they happen at the same time. Okay, because of principles of synchronicity and harmonicity, which I won't dwell on because we don't need to get complicated, but just take it from me. Because of those principles, we know that the next trough of the 40-day cycle will be synchronous, will occur at the same time as the next trough of the 18-month cycle. Therefore, once we have confirmed the 40-day cycle, we will also be confirming the position of the 18-month cycle. So now, as soon as we're confirming a 40-day cycle, that's not very serious, if you like. A 40-day cycle is a fairly short cycle. It's not a very serious cycle to confirm. But the 18-month cycle is a very serious cycle to confirm. And so if we're going to confirm that cycle, we want to be absolutely sure that that cycle has, in fact, really come into play. So let's take a look at this, and we can use the measuring tool in Sentient Trader to measure the length of time since the most recent 40-day cycle. And you can see the length of time there was 32 days, which is a very reasonable length of time. The average length of a 40-day cycle is, in fact, 34 days. We call it the 40-day cycle because the 40-day cycle is an easier name than the 34-day cycle, but it is, in fact, on average 34 days in length. So the 40-day cycle is coming in at a good length at 32 days. But let's have a look at some of the lengths of some of these other cycles. If I measure back from that 12th of September, you'll see that the 20-week cycle is coming in a little bit short at 16.1 weeks. The 40-week cycle is coming in ever so slightly long at 35.1 weeks.